mouths again, because that is a territory in which we believe in freedom. To go out on the street and demonstrate is a basic right for us. And that is why we are saying that there are two Cameroons that live together. If you are telling us, like the state minister stood here last year and told us that what happened in Cameroon is like dropping a few cubes of sugar to a basin of water. Who is the sugar and who is the water? I'm asking. Nation that you call yours, people can do what has been done to our children in West Cameroon. I call it West Cameroon because you will never take it out of our mouths again, because that is a territory in which to go out on the street together. If you are telling us, like the state minister stood here last year and told us that what happened in Cameroon is like dropping a few cubes of sugar to a basin of water. Who is the sugar and who is the water? I'm asking.
On avait la possibilité de les intégrer directement dans le du peuple, 80%, mais je crois que les pays sont soucieux, puis, d'affirmer leur identité, et c'est pour ça que nous mettons sur pied un qui reconnaît la spécificité de la zone embryale du Cameroun. Ça donne beaucoup de progrès.
Please, if you, we understand.
This is Comrade Fulton Daniel, and we'll be speaking live here from the great state of Texas, here in the United States. And today and this is Fulton Daniel speaking in this evening. I want to appreciate the United States for their continued effort in the crisis in Southern Cameroon. And therefore, we are pleading to the United States. I know we are pleading to the United States Congress. We are pleading to the White House. We are pleading to the United States Senate. The people of Southern Cameroon are in distress, and they are in distress. They're asking for help from the United States. And the citizens of Southern Cameroon, that now the citizens here in these amazing nations, are asking for U.S. Congress on unilateral intervention on behalf of the people of Southern Cameroon. This is the message I will be speaking this evening in the great state of Texas, here in the United States. And this for the Ambazonian citizens that are fighting for in ground zero, the spirit, the people, freedom, seeking for self-care, seeking for their lives, seeking to protect their people, is the ultimate goal of the people of, and all of us in the diaspora are here pleading for the United States Congress for help. We are pleading to the United States Senate for help. We are pleading for the White House. And I know that when the U.S. Secretary of State during his confirmation hearing at the U.S. Senate indicate his relentless effort to help the people of Southern Cameroon, and yet he has muted. He has completely muted. And so that is why I am resonate this message, pleading again to the U.S. Congress, pleading to the U.S. Senate, and pleading to the White House, because the Secretary of the United States has been muted and has not been responding on the crisis in Southern Cameroon. And so therefore, the people of Southern Cameroon are here again, once more, asking for unilateral help to protect the people of Southern Cameroon for this unwarranted attack by the neighboring country, La Republique du Cameroun. Stay tuned, don't go away.
The issue on the Anglophone piece, I won't go into detail on that. I think the article plus the video this morning did a very good job of explaining the history of how it got to the point where we are today. In October of 2017, when it came...
Before I proceed to this key message, I want to reiterate, I have a letter written by the La Republique du Cameroun Department of Defense. Let me read some of the letters from La Republique Department of Defense and signed by that minister, let me see, anyway, press release number 007115 from the Ministry of Defense, Yaoundé, September 20th, which means it's current. It was written today and released today. The Ministry of Defense hereby communicate the evening of Thursday, 16 September 2021, a convoy of the 6th Rapid Intervention Battalion BIR on a reconnaissance mission was targeted by an ambush of heavily armed terrorists. I underline the word terrorists. Locality Bamisingdop, subdivision Angokutunja, subdivision in the northwest region, using an improvisative device, IED, and an anti-tank rocket launch. The insurgent mobilized the vehicle of defense before opening heavy fire on the latter, which were seriously incapacitated, detonation and explosive charge. These events occurred barely few days after another improvisative device attack on the military convoy. Now, let's look at who is La Republique du Cameroun, because if we understand who is La Republique du Cameroun, then we can determine whether does any relationship existed between the people of Southern Cameroon and the neighboring country, La Republique du Cameroun. United States Congress, United States Senate, the White House has spoken. They have called for unilateral dialogue. They have called for a dialogue. La Republique, there is a Swiss initiative which the United States supported, and Congress has written and stated that La Republique should participate. La Republique is up to date to initiate or participate. They have a complete independent negotiation or dialogue, whatever it is. La Republique is yet up to date to attend. They believe military option is their prerogative to them to occupy the territory of Southern Cameroon. In fact, before I proceed to that, let me read the United Nations. This is a United Nations 15th session of the Assembly, led by President Holland of Ireland. On the 15th General Assembly, Vice President was Timothy of China. The Southern Cameroon India to take effect October 1st, 1961. This is a legal and legitimate document of the the United Nations. La Republique is claiming its sovereignty as a statehood was the United Nations Declaration of 1960. If La Republique independence in 1960, then Southern Cameroon wasn't part of La Republique in 1960. If you assessment, the Southern Cameroon independent vote to take effective October 1st, 1961. This is a United Nations document that is valid. 64 nations voted. 64 nations voted, including the United States. 23 voted, and among those 23, France is the leading among the 23, including the French territory. 64 nations voted to recognize the statehood of Southern Cameroon. 10 voted abstention. In other words, Southern Cameroon should have been fully recognized its sovereign identity. It was a quality of the British administrative authority, Sir Andrew Cohen, that has brought us to this nightmare that our people are facing daily. As you can look some of the images you saw at the convoy of military of the neighboring country, La Republique du Cameroun, heading to the Southern Cameroon to destroy the people of Southern Cameroon. The people of Southern Cameroon are not a conquer or a colonial territory of La Republique du Cameroun. I urge the United States to speak up. This is the most crucial moment that we expect the United States to stand up for its obligation. I saw the U.S. Secretary of State has remained muted after his confirmation hearing. He stated he was going to advocate, but since his confirmation, he has remained muted. It is not only, it affects the people's daily life. The people of Southern Cameroon have got enough of La Republique du Cameroun. France is the indirect controller of La Republique du Cameroun to carry on every military occupation in Southern Cameroon because the mineral deposit in Southern Cameroon is a prerogative for France's survival. The people of Southern Cameroon have got enough of this. If 64 nations voted to recognize the statehood of Southern Cameroon, why is it wrong that the United States cannot stand up for obligation, stand up for truth, and stand up and say, no, I am not in this business? United States has to get up from its alliance that is ineffective and stand for obligation and stand for the truth. And that is what we are requesting for the United States, to do the right thing, for the common good of mankind. If La Republique du Cameroun, in its military defense letter, classify our people as a terrorist, who is a terrorist? La Republique, which is a foreign nation, trying to occupy the sovereign state of Southern Cameroon. La Republique has no power over Southern Cameroon whatsoever. La Republique has no right in whatsoever in Southern Cameroon. That is a clear truth statement. We urge the United States to do the right thing. The people of Southern Cameroon is fed up, and they want to be able to manage its affairs and not be managed by a foreign nation, La Republique du Cameroon. Let me go over their letters. The insurgent mobilized vehicle attack. Let me bring back to the U.S. four-star general in his former assessment of this, and I will bring the former U.S. Undersecretary for African Affairs in the questioning at the U.S. Senate hearing or Congress hearing and hearing. Let's bring the U.S. four-star general in his first analysis as a West African Operation Chief Commander, four-star general. Let's read his message. I'm sure the Congress already have this message. And he was presenting this at the U.S. Congress or Senate.
Kind of to have had, the Anglophone states said we want to actually form our own state, the Ambazonia state. There have been issues there with atrocities, issues with allegations of law of war issues, and this is something that brings all this to a head. Over the last several months or so, the State Department has put on hold several security force assistance programs. Right before the election in October, I, with the ambassador, went and paid a visit with President Biya, and we had a very direct conversation with him with regards to investigation of these atrocities, transparency of these atrocities, and appropriate battlefield behavior. Since that time, the State Department has made a decision not to allocate significant money, but at the same time, they've released some money that's been on hold to things like Scan Eagle and Cessna aircraft that assist in the Boko Haram fight in the north. We still have programs that we continue with them, all kind of small engagements as well as exercises. We did have we talked about the state partnership program with Nebraska. We put that on hold, and in conjunction with the ambassador, AFRICOM, we decided not to pursue that because it wouldn't have been a good place for that particular group to be, so we put a halt to that. So the bottom line is right now in Cameroon, they have been a good partner with us counterterrorism-wise, but you can't neglect the fact that they have there are alleged atrocities and what's going on there. And so we continue to take our cues from the State Department and from the ambassador, and our level of engagement will continue, but not get out ahead of what the State Department would say is if we have to take other actions. We were very emphatic with President Biya that the behavior of his troops, the lack of transparency, could have a significant impact on our ability to work with them.
Right.
That's a four-star general in his clear analysis of the crisis, and that is two years ago or 1 year ago or 2 years ago, if I'm not mistakenly, in his analysis of the crisis. The people of Southern Cameroon has got enough of this. It is the prerogative. If United Nations respect the terms of the resolution, La Republique has no legal authority whatsoever. There is no document. The United Nations resolution enacted as the government of Southern Cameroon. The government of Southern Cameroon implies there was a government in Southern Cameroon. And this is one of them. This is the third Prime Minister of Southern Cameroon. PM Joa. A.N. Joa. A.N. Joa is the third Prime Minister of Southern Cameroon. And this is his cabinet. You have Dr. E. Mendele, the leader of the House of Assembly. You have PM Kamencha, the Minister of Finance. You have the S.N. Tamfu, the Secretary of Economic. Those are the ministers and state secretaries of Southern Cameroon. F.N. Ejebe Song, Secretary for Agriculture. J.N. Same, Secretary of State for Forest and Veterinary Services. These are a state government of Southern Cameroon. These are the third. In Southern Cameroon, it means there was a government in Southern Cameroon that existed, and those government has over time consumed and drained and abolished by this foreign government of La Republique du Cameroun with the complicity of the French government to dismantle the government that existed in Southern Cameroon, and now calling our people in Southern Cameroon territory a terrorist. That is an abomination. I mean, United States Congress, it is honesty that the United States look at this, and I mean, it is painful to watch the world. It is painful. How much can I talk that will make sense? How much can I talk? But anyway, I shall come to this cabinet member of the Southern Cameroon government. Now we have been now relegated to a state where they call a province in La Republique du Cameroun. When the United Nations asked the people, the government of Southern Cameroon and the government of La Republique to urgently initiate a talks, that has never been materialized. There have never been a talks or discussion with La Republique du Cameroon. What is wrong with the world in which we live in? Do we not live by the truth If we are to live by the truth, let's stand for the truth, and that is what really matters. Okay, let me bring the U.S. Senate Representative Foreign Affairs Committee question the former U.S. Secretary of State for African Affairs. Let's bring him to speak up.
Had established some Potemkin institutions that weren't really doing anything to bring the two sides together. Could you elaborate on that? Because you ran out of time before.
Sure, yes, sir. I understand the Cameroonian government established several commissions, and I'm sorry, I don't know the exact name of it, whether it's the Multicultural Institution for National Reconciliation or something, which on the face of it, and there have been a couple of these, but they have not been provided adequate budget, and they have not really done anything. Because what the country needs more than anything else is a genuine, open dialogue, probably to include the diasporas of the Cameroonians, because they have a great deal of interest in this. Because, sir, what's happening, both sides are becoming further and further radicalized. Unfortunately, I believe that the president of Cameroon is being told by his hardliners that he can win this thing militarily. There is no way that they're going to win this militarily. The violence is going to get worse in the northwest and the southwest. The arm for an arm, literally an eye for an eye, and the whole world will be blind there. The violence will spread to the West Province. It may even spread to the Littoral Province, which is the large city of Douala. So there has to be something. We are very, very energetically speaking with our allies. That's why I said that we just had in the Security Council this Monday what the United Nations calls an arias, where it's an open debate, and it's so clear that everybody wants to move forward on this. Are sanctions on the table? Everything's on the table moving forward. But we have to bring this situation to an end, else there's a possibility of what happened in Nigeria with Boko Haram. Started as a small movement, and now look at it. And it'd be disastrous for the region if the Cameroonian government turned this thing into yet another type of Boko Haram.
Or Boko Haram could come back into Cameroon. Well, how do you mentioned, that it appears to be spiraling out of control because the more the security forces clamp down, the more resistance there is in the Anglophone region. So what can we do that we're not already doing?
Well, like I said, the best we can do for right now is just work with our allies to really make the Cameroonian government understand the need for a real dialogue. And if that doesn't happen relatively quickly, then we have to look at the array of other tools we have in our toolkit. Because, frankly,
the other tools we have in our toolkits, it's been how much? Since 2016. That was the former U.S. Secretary of State, the current Secretary of State of the United States, and the Undersecretary for African Affairs. They all remain muted. No one is talking, no one is speaking. Of course, during the confirmation hearing in front of the U.S. Senate, they demonstrate their ability to resolve the crisis. No representative, of course. The people of Southern Cameroon want to recognize their statehood. The people of Southern Cameroon is a more robust democratic institution, more than La Republique du Cameroun. This is a genuine government of Southern Cameroon that has been completely eradicated by La Republique du Cameroun because the raw material deposit in Southern Cameroon is a prime interest for the French neocolonialism. And so therefore, France has no particular access to Southern Cameroon except through a colonial master that they must fund them, La Republique du Cameroon, to control the property of Southern Cameroon so that can facilitate France neocolonialism to participate and eradicate the resources in Southern Cameroon to feed the French. While the people of Southern Cameroon are living on the crumbs of bread. Is that the world we are living in? We have got enough of this. We got enough of this. We got enough of this. This is the government of Southern Cameroon. This is the third Prime Minister of Southern Cameroon that were duly elected by the people of Southern Cameroon. Initially was Dr. Endele, second by Foncha, and third, Joa, A.N. Joa, was the third Prime Minister of Southern Cameroon. He was removed by complicity of France and La Republique du Cameroon. Today, we are mainly being called a region in Cameroon. I mean, it is a bizarre, absolutely bizarre, that from a nation with a cabinet government now become a province in a foreign nation. When United Nations asks for a negotiation, an urgent discussion, that discussion has never took place till the present moment. This is the state government of Southern Cameroon. First, the Prime Minister, A.N. Joa, the Prime Minister and head of government. P.M. Kamencha, the Minister of Finance in Southern Cameroon. Dr. E.M. Endele, leaders of the House of Assembly in Southern Cameroon. P. Moa, the Secretary of State for Interior. S.N. Tanfu, Secretary of State for Economic and Planning. S.E. Che, Secretary of State at the Prime Minister's Office. J.N. Gali, Secretary of State for Cooperation. E.N. Ejereson, Secretary of State for Agriculture. J.N. Same, Secretary of State for Forestry and Veterinary Services. S.N.G. Yo, Parliamentary Secretary, the Minister of Agriculture. P.M. Kale, Speaker of the House of Assembly in Southern Cameroon, not in La Republique du Cameroon. N.N. Bille, Secretary of State for Works and Transport. J.N. Lafont, Secretary of State for Local Government. L.M. Ndamukom, Secretary of State for Education. And M.M. Monono, Parliamentary Secretary, the Minister of Works. And A.W. Daiga, Parliamentary Secretary and the Minister of Local Government. These are government ministers at the government of Southern Cameroon. They have completely eradicated, and now we a province in a foreign nation called La Republique du Cameroon. What else did we miss? What else is wrong? There is one thing I want to make clarification. There is one thing I want to make clarification, because many people often associate the Southern Cameroon case and the Biafra. They are not unanimously the same as the Biafra. This is a state institution that is completely eradicated by a foreign dominant La Republique du Cameroon and on the complicity of the French government. Because of the mineral deposit in Southern Cameroon. And today, the people of Southern Cameroon are living on breadcrumbs while the mineral deposit are harvested completely without the sole proprietor of the territory, Southern Cameroon citizens, by a foreign government of La Republique du Cameroon. And I describe the citizens and sons and daughters of Southern Cameroon as a terrorist. I mean, is this just because they use the language? What is absolutely wrong in this world that we live in? It is imperative that the United States Congress do the right thing. Recognize the people of Southern Cameroon, their freedom and right to resist as a sovereign nation. In the time of 1961, when Southern Cameroon were being recognized, Equatorial Guinea population was not 1/10 of the population of Southern Cameroon, and yet they, sovereign state, were recognized, whereas the people of Southern Cameroon were denied their privilege because they want to satisfy the interests of a foreign nation, France. The people of Southern Cameroon has got enough of this. We urge the United States Congress to recognize the state of Southern Cameroon. It's the paramount imperative that the United States do the right thing at the right time, at the right moment. People of Africa descent are watching the United States to do the right thing. We are not territorial integrity of La Republique du Cameroun. We are not. It was morally wrong. It was morally wrong for the UK government and military authority to forcefully assume that the people of Southern Cameroon are incapable. In fact, the Queen of England was providing subsidies to its foreign colonial territory. Southern Cameroon did not get any subvention from the Queen of England. They were providing subsidies to the north that joined Nigeria. Because the people of Southern Cameroon has excess surplus and do not deserve any foreign aid from the Republic, from the Queen of England. Sir Andrew Cohen, in his false assumption that the people of Southern Cameroon cannot stand his own, despite the fact that they have a government of its own. La Republique du Cameroun hasn't. La Republique du Cameroun, since in the prior to and post-independence, has not exhibited a democratic institution till the present moment that I am speaking. The UPC wing was supposed to become the Democratic Party that won election. France's brutality suppressed it with Ahidjo and appointed Doman Ahidjo to take over the helm for 25 years. Till the current, the so-called the priest, Paul Biya, I am here pleading with the United States. The people of Southern Cameroon are pleading with the United States. Recognize the people of Southern Cameroon and give them the trial. Let them move on. Because we cannot live in this habit. We are urging the United States. We are pleading with the United States. The U.S. Undersecretary has eventually remained muted. Of course, during his confirmation hearing, we were watching whatever he was speaking. But at the moment now, he's completely muted. As though he doesn't even have any power to speak up. What a dilemma. We are asking the U.S. Congress, the U.S. Senate, to give directives to the Secretary of State to move ahead and recognize the statehood of Southern Cameroon so that the people can return home. The people can have a peace of mind. The people can have an honest way to restore their life. They don't need United States to provide any kind of subvention, but they don't need United States to recognize their home identity so that they can move forward with their life. We can take over from the rest. We will provide whatever assistance to the people while they are in their homeland. We don't need La Republique du Cameroun. I am speaking here, I'm asking the United States. The people of Southern Cameroon need help. State don't go away. Let's listen to the U.S. Secretary, the former Secretary of State for African Affairs.
Possibility of sanctions is always there. But it's always better to work in concert with our friends before we go in that direction, because the frustrating thing is it is in the interest of everybody to have a national dialogue. The situation will not end militarily. Each day, the atrocities will get worse and worse.
Is the permanent separation of the two regions a possibility?
Sir, I don't believe so, because I think...
That's the U.S. Congress. That's the U.S. Congress representative or Senate representative asking a valid question, a permanent separation. That's the U.S. Senate representative asking a valid question that needs a valid answer. The former secretary was dangling about his response. Permanent separation is the key factor to move forward, and the people of Southern Cameroon want it now. And we urge the United States to do the right thing. You saw the coup d'etat that just took over for a leader that has been 2 terms office and choose arbitrarily. That's the policy of this French regime. They want somebody that is loyal to France or whatever it is. It's not even a French territory anyway, but they want a loyalty. And once you become a loyalty to France, they make sure that they suppress every vote of its citizens and make sure that you stay in power. And that is why they arbitrarily suppress and make him the 3rd term when the Constitution states otherwise. The people of Southern Cameroon are not in this form of destructive form of government, we, the people of Southern Cameroon, the first of its kind in West Africa, to demonstrate the transfer of power from one elected official to the next elected officials. We demonstrate by Dr. Enden, we demonstrate by Jongo Fonta, we demonstrate by A.N. Joa to hand over power to an elected executive. Why is it that the world believes that we must live under the umbrella of a foreign dominant, La Republique du Cameroun? I am urging the United States, do the right thing. The people of Southern Cameroon are frustrated, and the United States can do this by the U.S. Congress, the U.S. Senate, giving directives to the Secretary of State that has remained completely muted, despite his confirmation hearing. It is quite amazing. It is quite amazing that a foreign nation would describe the citizens of Southern Cameroon as a terrorist in their own territory. Who is La Republique, by the way, in the first place? This is the United Nations resolution that was voted. Is La Republique part of this territory? In fact, it was one of another nation that was voted against. If they were voting against, now they become a sole occupier of Southern Cameroon. What a damaging effect. We are pleading to the U.S. Congress. We are pleading to the U.S. Congress for help. We are pleading to the U.S. Congress for help. Let's bring La Republique President. Let him speak up.
L'intégrité territoriale du Cameroun, ça donne beaucoup de problèmes.
Please, if you,
On avait la possibilité de les intégrer directement dans le système francophone, qui était celui de la majorité du peuple, 80%. Mais je crois que les pays sont soucieux aujourd'hui.
So the rationale that they occupy our territory was to reintegrate our territory to a foreign nation that lacked the common value of a democratic institution. They have never demonstrated elected and transfer of power since it got independent from the colonial master France. And they want to teach us how to integrate us into a foreign dominant, from a government of its own to a dominant government of France. Let's listen to the stupid idiot of La Republique du Cameroun.
D'affirmer leur identité, et c'est pour ça que nous mettons sur pied un statut spécial qui reconnaît.
So, from a sovereign state and a government to a special creative state with a special status from a foreign government that occupies no territory. This is the United Nations document of 64 nations voted, including United States. And now we have been downgraded to a position where a foreign government president creates a special status. What a damaging effect. Listen to the stupid idiot.
La spécificité de la zone anglophone, mais elle reste dans l'intégrité territoriale du Cameroun. Ça donne beaucoup de problèmes.
please, if you,
I am asking the United States Congress, please, the people of Southern Cameroon need their territory to be recognized as a full sovereign of nations. United States can assist the people of Southern Cameroon, provide a democratic value institution since 1967. If I'm not mistakenly, the last prime minister was in 1967, where a democratic institution has been existed in Southern Cameroon. United States can do this, can support and recognize the statehood of Southern Cameroon, so that and assist the people of Southern Cameroon an opportunity for the government to re-establish and develop a new form of electoral institution in Southern Cameroon. The people of Southern Cameroon are willing to ask for help from the United States Congress, the United States Senate. Therefore, the U.S. Senate and the U.S. Congress can issue a directive asking the U.S. Department of State and Defense to assist the people of Southern Cameroon in this transitional process, so that the people of Southern Cameroon and those at home can return to their own country. So therefore, La Republique du Cameroun has no legal authority whatsoever in Southern Cameroon. So therefore, we are pleading with the United States Congress, the U.S. Senate, and the White House to help and direct the people of Southern Cameroon that they can be able to return home in their own territory. We denounce La Republique du Cameroun completely. We will not in any move succumb to any invasion by La Republique du Cameroun. Our people are ready. I am giving this statement that the people of Southern Cameroon are ready to use whatever might and to tear down La Republique du Cameroon at this critical moment. We will not take La Republique for granted. We are not territory of La Republique du Cameroon. So we are urging the United States to do the right thing. We know, do good for the greatest number. I want to take this to close this. Fellow brothers and sisters, I want to thank those who are supporting the Southern Cameroon. I want to thank the General, the Field Marshal No Pity. And in this point, I want to take this to Arab. Let's support the citizens, the Ambazonia defense system that are fighting relentlessly to support, to make sure there's self-realization of our statehood. We cannot live under the control of a foreign dominant, La Republique du Cameroon. We're living under the breadcrumbs while La Republique seeks the resources of Southern Cameroon, appoint the French-dominated colonial administrator to dictate on how the people of Southern Cameroon to be governed. We live in a democratic institution where the people choose who to govern them and not appointed by foreign individuals to decide on behalf of the people. The people should decide who should govern them. And then we have lived in this happy life for quite some time until we were forced into this by the British administrative authority, Andrew Cohen, on the false assumption that the people of Southern Cameroon cannot live, cannot stand alone with a foreign dominant, a country that has no democratic value and institutional policy that merits. La Republique has never demonstrated any of its capability to elect the individual. The U.S. Parliament has spoken, the UK government has spoken, and we are asking the U.S. Congress issue a directive, recognize the statehood of Southern Cameroon, and let the U.S. State Department follow through those executions. I have no more to say, but to continue to pleading for the United States Congress. In this end, I say good night.